Hello and welcome to Thermoprint Online. In this session we will create artwork to send to our vinyl cutter for cutting our thermocut sheets. I will be using CorelDRAW 4. An advantage with the thermocut sheet is that we can work with the exact cutting size, and in this case 23 inch by 35 inch. In Corel here I'm going to change the reference page here to 23 by 35 so we can lay out our graphic to maximize the sheet usage. To do that, we're going to go up to the toolbar up here. You can see where it says 8.5 by 11. I'm going to change that to 23 by 35, and that will be our cutting area of our sheet. Now we're ready to create a graphic, and we'll do this by going to our toolbars here on the left. Select Text Tool. Make sure my caps are on and type in the word KUMITE. Okay, if you're not familiar with the word KUMITE, it is a Japanese word. Loosely translated, it means crossing of hands. It's or sparring. It's that karate term for you karateka out there. Okay, now we have our word KUMITE or KUMITE. You may hear it pronounced two different ways. And what I want to do with this, first off, I'm going to change the font. So if you can see right now, it's an Arial. We're going to go to the drop-down box here and select Katana Shadow. And I'll enlarge it here so we can see it real well. Next, I want to arch it. And to do this, I'm going to go to the tools here on the left-hand side and select the Envelope tool. And we'll go to Envelope. And you can see it changed the toolbars up here on top. It also put a bounding box around here. And in order to make the top and the bottom arch at the same time, what we're going to do is hold down the Control key. But before I do that, up here on top, there's different choices here. This is the double arc mode. This is the straight line mode. And the middle one here is a single arch mode. And that's one we're going to select. So I'm going to hold down my Control key on my keyboard. Select the top box and the bottom one, and then when you stretch it, you can see that the top and the bottom go together. Okay, go back to my pick tool, and that's the word KUMITE in an arch. Now this is something you don't have to do, but I like to do this. I'm going to pull down here to see if I got it in a straight line or not. Okay, I'm going to just make a slight modification here. I'm going to turn it so the K and E are on the same line. Okay, go back, select my line and delete that. So there's the word KUMITE in an arch the way I want it. Now I have to bring in some clip art that I have. I'll go to File, I'm going to import it. If I import it that way I don't lose my word KUMITE. And it's a karate figure. And we'll go ahead and import that. I'm just going to move over slightly. Okay, my graphic is going to be 11 inch on the horizontal. So I'm going to have to change this to 11. And you see it's locked here, so it'll change proportionally on the vertical also. And I have 11 by 8.259. Okay, I want to make the karate figures a little bit bigger. And overall is still want to make it a little bit bigger. Just make an adjustment on that. Okay, that would be good. Okay, now I want to make sure that everything is lined up properly, centered on that. There's different ways of doing it. There's some hotkeys you can use. The easy way I find is to just go to Arrange, go to Align and Distribute, and I'm going to center on the page horizontally. Okay, everything's pretty well centered now. Grab my design, move it down to the lower left hand corner. Because we're using the cutter, you want to cut in a mirror image. So I can go up to my tool here, it says mirror horizontally. Good. Now I'm going to duplicate this. And one way, there's a couple of ways of doing it, but the one way I'm going to be doing it, I like for it to duplicate itself right on top of it, not do an offset. So I have to go to my tools, go to options, and if you click on document on the here in the plus sign, it'll actually open up the documents, and then you go to general. You can see that the default of the program is 0.25, so I'm just going to change that to 0, and the vertical part I'm going to change to 0 and say OK. So now I'm going to duplicate my design, my graphic here, and I can move the duplicate over into here. Good. I'll take both designs here and I'm going to group it together. And I do this just so I don't lose it or mess things up, as I normally do. Okay, now I'm going to duplicate it again. I can move this up. And again, Control D for duplicate. And I have 6 up. I cannot get any more on there. Now another thing that I like to do because of my cutting, I want to make it easier for the weeding process. Let me just move this over a little bit. Is to put some more cut lines on there. I'd like to do a vertical and on a horizontal. So on a horizontal, what I'm going to do is go to my tool here, which is the 4th one down, and use the Bezier tool. And just so I make them even across, if you look on the right hand side here, you'll see here, and I'm going to make that the same side on this side. Okay, now I have a horizontal line, so I'm going to duplicate this twice. Grab one of them, move them up to the top. And the reason I'm doing that because I want to save the space up here for further designs. I don't want anything to go to waste. Okay, now I need to put a vertical in here, so I'm going to go back to my Bezier tool. And if you look on the top again, the rulers here, I can see that I'm right in the middle here, 11.5. Go down the bottom here, and again I can look up the ruler up on top and see that I'm at 11.5. Okay, so I have my vertical cut lines, I have my horizontal cut line, and I am ready to send this over to my cutter. With my program, I have to export this as an EPS file, and then I will import it into the software. So let's go on over to cutting.